Recently in the local newspaper, there was a really great column by the president and CEO of a locally owned bank that services mortgage titled "The Real Estate Boom Heard Around the Region." So what is this boom all about? Hi, I'm Sarah Maslowski, and I am a local real estate agent and team leader here in the Northeast Metro Atlanta area, and I've witnessed firsthand this boom. In fact, you may have seen several of my videos on this topic as well. So as we all know, this local market is absolutely on fire right now, just like it is all across the nation. Many people like to speculate about the market, and I've heard a lot of the old saying, what goes up must come down. And everyone assumes that, just because things are hot and high right now, that they have to come crashing down, and inevitably we're going to have a repeat of 2007. Right? So while it's easy to assume that this is the direction that we are heading in, since history has a way of repeating itself, real estate experts and mortgage officers are not predicting this. Here in Gainesville and the surrounding areas, there's been a huge expansion of industries like Kubota, SK Battery, 2 huge Amazon warehouses being built within 20 miles of each other, not to mention that we have Mars, Wrigley, and all the other food processing companies that have been here for decades, like Coke Foods, Purdue Farms, and Pilgrims. All of these are massive companies, obviously in need of employees, so that is driving in a lot of workers who need a place to live. Despite the craziness that was 2020, we have not seen a slowdown in the addition and planning for even more massive industrial plants. Makita recently bought 80 acres in Flowery Branch and are currently working on the construction of a 600,000 square foot plant in order to lessen some of their duties that their huge plant in Beaufort already has to take on. All of this expansion is going to produce more and more jobs and continue to drive new residents into the area. Now, in order to keep up with all these new work sites, plus all the new transplants coming from California, Florida, and New York, there's been a huge increase in new apartment complexes and new construction homes going up all across the region. I've talked about this before, but it's been rather difficult to get into new construction neighborhoods lately. Make sure you check out that video. But builders have taken a new approach to speed up production to get these home buyers into these houses faster. And many of these new potential home buyers who are moving from states like California and Florida and Texas are able to buy these homes with cash proceeds from the sale of their previous home, which also pushes up competition. They're moving from areas with much, much higher real estate values. And so of course, home prices here in Georgia, they look like a bargain. And of course, there's also, low supply and high demand for homes that we've been facing all throughout last year and this year. All of this real estate activity in this market makes people wonder, can the market support it? The president of the bank who wrote that column said that while we eventually may experience an economic slowdown, I don't see it happening anytime soon, and I certainly don't envision a collapse anywhere on the scale of the Great Recession. He went on to talk about how that lending processes in 2021 is drastically different than what they were in 2007. The rules were very lax in 2007. They used to say if you had a paycheck and you're alive, you could get a house. Well, I can say with certainty that is definitely not the case in the 2020 and 2021. Back then, obviously it was very easy to get a loan, just having to, without having to prove that you're financially stable and capable of paying it back. They didn't care about that. Obviously, look what happened. We had a huge crash decline in the market. Now, the lending requirements have intensified significantly and mortgage lenders have learned their lesson. Plus, we have lots of government regulations in place to prevent that from ever happening again. 2006 and 7, that crash, it's not going to happen. There's many safeguards that have been put into place so that it is not going to happen again. Now, speaking of the Great Recession, I often hear people say, especially locally, why is there a housing shortage? There are new construction neighborhoods everywhere. If you drive anywhere around North Metro Atlanta area, you're going to see new home construction development after development after development. It's easy to understand why people think that there's new houses everywhere. Well, to understand why we are where we are today, we have to take a look back. Prior to that Great Recession, new housing starts reached a peak in January 2006 at 2.2 million homes per month. We were building housing at such a fast pace. Fast forward to today, and we are currently just now getting back up to 1.5 million homes started each month. So new housing construction has been low in recent years, and we have yet to reach that level of production pre-Great Recession, thus the problem that we are currently having. Another thing that has exacerbated the problem is that prior to 2007, you had many more home builders in the market, a lot more smaller, locally owned home builders that were building and developing communities. Well, because the lending regulations got so strict and because it was so devastating to those small business owners, many of them left the market and never returned. They went on to other careers or other businesses doing other things. So the amount of home builders that we have is drastically lower today than what it was back in 2007. So despite all the new construction homes we see, it's still not enough. Another thing that I hear mentioned all the time is, just wait, the foreclosures are coming. No, the foreclosures are not coming. The banks have private equity firms that invest millions of dollars into buying those bank notes directly from the bank to prevent those foreclosures from ever hitting the market. And another point is that many of these homeowners, despite maybe perhaps being behind on their mortgage and needing to think of something like a short sale or foreclosure, they have so much equity in their home right now that they could sell, make a profit, and go rent somewhere. Now, there was a mention of concern with increased interest rates and the hint of inflation. Interest rates have gone up slightly from where we were seeing in early 2020 when they were at historic all-time lows. And I think we can all agree that having seen inflated pricing in not just the housing market, but in the price of just about everything in the last year, with the consumer price index, up around 4% higher than it was last year. Despite this, the columnist said, still a total economic fallout is highly unlikely, especially in Hall County and the surrounding areas due to our region's strong, diverse, and expanding manufacturing base. So there's certainly no shortage of jobs here in the region, and good paying ones at that. With the large switch to working from home after the pandemic, we are also seeing that many people are choosing to live here in Georgia, where the cost of living is much lower than the states that they are leaving. And of course, to those people relocating from out of state, our housing is incredibly much more affordable than it is from the states that they're moving from. All of these new residents come in and shop at our stores, they eat at our restaurants, they hire our local landscapers and plumbers and hairstylists, you name it, and they're putting money right back into our economy. There is no doubt that Hall County and our region is growing and expanding at a pretty quick rate. But this growth allows for more jobs, more tourism, and more money to keep everyone afloat. Now, this has been a controversial topic in the past. Many people do not want to see such a boom and turn into another expansion of Atlanta, similar to what, Gwinnett County has become. You frequently hear people bashing on Gwinnett County. It all depends on who you ask. Some are not as excited about the growth and expansion for the obvious negative reasons that come with it, but others are excited to see the new potential that our region holds. So what are your thoughts? Let me know in the comments below. I would love to know what you are thinking.